It's Pastor Big Al. I have my Bible, and I want to share with you something really interesting that God has been, speaking to me a little bit about today. And I just want to share just a little bit of it. It's Genesis chapter 4. It's the story in Genesis chapter 4 is the story of Cain and Abel. And you all know the story of Cain and Abel. Cain kills his brother Abel, and God punishes him by saying that the ground is going to be cursed and won't produce any fruit for him, and that he is going to be a wanderer on the earth. And Cain is actually afraid. He's afraid that someone will find him and someone will kill him. But God assures Cain in verse 15 of Genesis chapter 4, and it says, "Then the Lord said to him, not so. If anyone kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest anyone who found him should attack him." So now we see that if anyone were to find Cain and kill Cain, that vengeance would be multiplied sevenfold. So if we fast forward a little bit, we see that Cain has a son, and Cain's son is named Enoch. And Enoch has a son, and his name is Irad, and then Mahuael, and then Methushael, and then finally Methushael has a son named Lamech, and that's another interesting thing that I'll have to look up a little bit later. But Lamech, interestingly enough, had two wives. And he says to his two wives something very interesting. In verse 23 of chapter 4 of Genesis, here's what it says. Lamech said to his wives, Adah and Zillah, "Hear my voice, you wives of Lamech. Listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain's revenge is sevenfold, then Lamech's is 77-fold. Now, that's just interesting, right? Because now in Genesis chapter 4, it all begins with the murder of his brother, and it went from sevenfold now for vengeance, and now it gets all the way to Lamech, and it's 77-fold. Most of us are familiar enough with those numbers, okay? I don't know if you were familiar that they took place in Genesis chapter 4, but most of us are familiar with those numbers because those numbers come to us in Matthew chapter 18. So in Matthew 18, Jesus is talking about forgiveness. And so Peter asked Jesus a question in verse 21. Verse 21 of Matthew chapter 18 says, "Then Peter came up and he said to him, Lord, how often will my brother sin against me and I forgive him? As many as 7 times? And Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. And I want y'all to see the comparisons there. Remember in Genesis 4, it all began with Cain killing his brother Abel. And now it's about vengeance. Vengeance is multiplied because of a wrong did to a brother. But when we get to Matthew chapter 18, Peter asks the question, how many times is my brother going to do something wrong to me? And how often am I supposed to forgive him? 7 times? Jesus says 77 times. And why that's significant is because when we go through the idea of the lineage of Cain, it's vengeance that are multiplied. But when we go through the thought process of who Jesus is, it is forgiveness that is multiplied. And what our world needs today is not the vengeance to be multiplied. What our world desperately needs today is for forgiveness to be multiplied over and over and over again. I thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with me in God's Word today, and I pray that y'all have a blessed and amazing day.